Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Quarantine Connect 2020. I am so glad to have invited today with me Joseph Saheb Youssef. He's one of very well-known LinkedIn personalities, and a lot of people are gaining multiple insights related to relationship sales, related to business development and marketing strategies from him. Today, I'm going to discuss with him different marketing strategies and some tips that he's going to share with us, because I believe that these days, personal brands, one person owned business, small businesses are suffering the most in their marketing work. For one thing, they cannot hire new people to market. They are perhaps left alone to generate their own leads and make sales, which is very difficult for a person who's not a salesperson or who doesn't know marketing completely well. So keeping this in view, we have today with us Joseph, and he's going to guide us about different marketing practices that work and more. So how are you, Joseph?
I'm very good, and thank you so much for the lovely introduction. I'm a little bit embarrassed. I'm not sure whether the people in the audience would be able to see me blushing, but thank you very much. I really appreciate the warm words and the lovely introduction that you've given me. Thank you, Nousheen. It's a pleasure to actually speak with you face to face. We've been connected for a little while on LinkedIn, and it's a pleasure. And thank you so much for having me on board as one of your guests in your show.
Thank you so much for joining. I know it's very difficult to make time these days, so I'm very grateful you're here with me today.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
So starting off with our discussion, I want to understand what is the difference between marketing and branding? Like, I know it because we are doing it, but the audience doesn't know. Many of them are confusing marketing with branding. They think that, okay, I'm working on my branding, my logo and my collaterals are ready, my brochures are ready, my books are ready, my exercises are ready. Okay, am I ready for marketing now? Or have I done marketing already by making all these things ready? So we want to understand from you, Joseph, as an expert, what is the difference in marketing and branding and why people confuse it?
I mean, you brought up an age-old question, which a lot of people have different kinds of answers to it. Of course, it's like the chicken or the egg, right? A lot of people are like, which comes first? Does marketing come first, or does branding come first? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, to try and explain that in layman's terms, I'm going to go into a slight, a background of it. So, in a nutshell, in my opinion, I mean, branding is who you are. And marketing is how you build an awareness to tell other people who you are. So what I mean by that, and I hope that sort of brings it in a nutshell, is like branding is the core element in a marketing strategy. So marketing is a much more of a broader scheme of things, while branding is basically at the core of any marketing strategy. So it's like, let's say, for example, if you were to do an analogy with the human body, so your whole human body is your marketing strategy, while your heart is your brand. So that's exactly why a lot of people actually make errors, or they feel that they are both the same, one and the same. No, they aren't one and the same. It's the same thing like, sales and marketing. They're completely two different kettle of fish. The same with branding and marketing as well. Yes, branding and marketing are interconnected. So is sales and marketing. But obviously, branding is one of the core elements of any particular marketing strategy. So, I mean, to give you a bit of an example, like if you want to actually market a brand, and that's, I think, in what I'm saying, market a brand, it just sort of brings into reality as to which one comes first. The brand will always come first. You need to first understand as to who you are as a person, who you are as a brand. What do you want to bring to the marketplace? I mean, what are your core values, and most importantly, how are you going to communicate that to your target consumers? Yeah. And that's your brand. That is the core of who you are as a person. So once you have that settled, once your clients, once your core audience understands who you are as a person, that's when the marketing element comes in. And that's when you actually go out there and you actually use different tools, different processes and different strategies to go out there and actively promote yourself or your service or your product that you have, right? And that is the marketing mix. Obviously, we'd go into the marketing mix, I guess, later during the conversation, the 5 Ps, etc. But I mean, that is where the marketing strategy will start after you as a person have been able to define who you are, which is your brand. I hope that clarifies.
And also how your brand is going to answer the questions and the problems that your audience is facing, who your audience are. So this is something that you do before you start with your marketing.
Absolutely. And see, and you brought up such an important point. I mean, it's like, let's say, for example, another way to bring together or to show the differences between exactly what marketing is and what branding is. I mean, marketing is what gets your customers' attention, while branding is what keeps their attention for the long term. Like, marketing is what drives sales, but branding drives the recognition that you have of your products and services in the marketplace, and also drives loyalty for the long term. So that's where branding always comes first, and obviously marketing, comes second. But a marketing strategy can differ across different markets, different elements and products and services. It can be a completely different marketing strategy that a company may come up with, but its core branding principle will always remain the same. So marketing is something which will keep on changing, keep on adapting to what's happening in the world. Exactly. But your core brand, your brand element will always remain the same.
So how can business owners generally understand a good marketing strategy? So what are different components of a good, let's say a good one? What could be?
I mean, see, that's a great question. And, with regards to what is a good marketing strategy, there is no answer set in stone. Now, what do I mean by that? Like, there is no right answer or the wrong answer. There are no right steps or the wrong steps. It's what you need to do to basically get your message reach succinctly to your target audience, and that is the most important aspect. So the marketing strategy, obviously the first thing that will come into place is the 5 Ps of marketing, which is obviously product, price, promotion, place, and people. But that's where it starts and that's where it stops. And that's the reason as to why so many people, especially in today's world, are making a hash of what they're doing, because they're only trying to go by the book, go by the specific letter of the law, of being just, using too much theory into their practical experience. No, you can't do that. You can't just be by the book. You have to be able to adapt yourself to whatever is happening, especially what's happening today, especially with COVID. The marketing strategy that each and every brand needs to take has to be completely separate. The rule book needs to literally thrown out of the window. And that is something which people need to understand moving forward, that it is an adaptable form of engagement, of communication that you need to have with your target audience at any given moment in time. And you need to be adaptable to whatever's happening in the real world. So the marketing strategy per se that people need to, I guess, look into moving forward is something which I like to call, there's a very fine line between people and brands. Very fine line. People are becoming brands and brands are becoming people. What do I mean by that?
Everything is humanized actually these days.
Pardon? I didn't get the last
everything
one.
is humanized these days. We are more connected. We are more emotive. Even the brands are now more emotive.
Beautiful. And you brought up the right word, emotive. And that is the essence. People resonate with someone who they can appreciate, that they can see, that they can understand, that they can actually resonate with what they are doing. And that is what is humanizing the brand. That is what companies around the world should focus on doing, which is humanizing their brand. Because the line between people and brands is becoming more and more blurred as time goes on. And there's a very fine line between that. People are becoming brands, and brands are becoming people. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, for example, let's take Alibaba. When you say Alibaba, the first person that comes to mind is Jack Ma. When you talk about Virgin, it's Richard Branson. Even today, that Steve Jobs passed away, when you say Apple, you always think of Steve Jobs. So it's like, they have become synonymous with their brand, or rather their brand has become synonymous with a personal identity that they have, the personality that they have brought across, which people have resonated with which people have actually, they feel that is what they resonate with as a person for that brand and for that brand loyalty moving forward. So I think the marketing strategy which a lot of clients, a lot of businesses need to focus on is to bring themselves, or bring the person behind the vision, the mission, and the purpose of that brand out to the public, so that people can resonate with a human being, with someone who lives, breathes, and bleeds like them, because that is who they will resonate with moving forward.
Yes, great. And secondly, a good marketing strategy is perhaps the one that keeps on evolving and is not constant. Because the moment a brand or a person or a personal brand keeps on repeating the same marketing practices over and over again, it becomes difficult for them to get attention. Even people might find the same sort of content, same sort of marketing messages difficult to resonate with them once they are repeated in different forms again and again. So evolution, apart from humanizing, like you've said, is another way of running a good marketing strategy and making it successful.
No, spot on. I mean, I think this is what we all need to focus on and accept, that we are living in a world of constant evolution. We are living in a world of constant change, and we need to embrace that. We need to accept that. It's not about believing that we are in a state of constant change, but we're in a state of constant fast change at this present moment. So the better adaptable we are to whatever is happening around us is going to have such an important impact on how people see us. I'm talking about from a company's perspective, see us as a brand moving forward. I think Mark Cuban, in one of his discussions in the last couple of weeks, made a very important statement, and he actually said that moving forward, especially in this time, the brands who are actually empathetic in their messaging, and they actually become a humanized form, or they rather use a humanized form of communication with their target audience, are the brands which are actually going to be really successful moving forward into the next decade. And brands which are tone deaf and which are just basically pushing out their products and services without even having any kind of empathy to whatever is happening in the world at this present moment, they're going to be long forgotten. And I think that's a very powerful thing to remember as a marketer.
And I agree with him. Yes, it's so true. And during COVID-19, we can see that people are able to connect with more brands that have a face than otherwise.
Absolutely.
Moving forward, there are two main, ways of driving people to a marketing campaign. Let's say lead magnets is one. So it's important for us as marketing strategists to help our brands create good, effective lead magnets. And it's not easy to create one, right? It's not easy to make one lead magnet good enough to get you the kind of leads that you're looking at. So what do you recommend? How can, let's say, a person who hasn't created too many lead magnets or has no experience but is now at home trying to get some leads for her or his work, how can such a person create an effective, easy, but productive lead magnet?
I think that's a really good question, and this is another question which basically I think the steps involved are set in stone, because there are a few things which you need to go through to understand, or rather come to the decision as to which lead funnel magnet you would like to use moving forward. So I mean the first thing is you need to obviously start with who your buyer is. So you've got to understand what kind of a persona, what kind of a target audience that you're looking at this present moment, and that is the most important aspect. So the person who's looking at creating a lead magnet needs to be ultra specific to the kind of people that they're targeting and the kind of people that they want to attract.
Yeah.
The second element is, of course, what is your value proposition? I mean, what are you offering to your client which is not being done by your competitor? Yeah. Now, every single thing that you can do, there is someone who can do it as well. Now, can they do it better, cheaper, or more effectively? That is something which you need to, as a marketer, focus your attention on, right? So you need to make sure that the value proposition that you have is something which your target audience can relate to. Now, what is the strategic differentiator that you have over your competition? Why should they use you and not them, right? I mean, if the question was only on product and price, why should they use you? So how are you actually going to be different? How are you going to give them additional services moving forward, based on someone else who may be giving them the exact same element or exact same product or specification or service? So that is important. You have to identify your value proposition that you're going to be bringing out to your target audience. That's absolutely important. And I think the last part is, like, once you understand those two, who your buyer is and what is it that your strategic differentiator is, what your value proposition is, what you need to do is just figure out as to, what's the best way to get eyeballs on you. Now, what do I mean by getting eyeballs on you is, you could have the best product, the best service that you have out there. But if people don't know that, you would be sitting at home basically just getting eaten over by your overhead costs, because you're not going to be able to generate any revenue. And that is the most important element. So you need to ensure that, once you have those two elements in your marketing mix and your marketing strategy and your lead magnet strategy done and dusted, which is obviously your buyer persona, and the second one is obviously your value proposition, you need to keep it simple. You need to understand what product that you have, what services you are providing. You need to keep it simple. You need to prioritize. You need to focus on the strengths that you have. Yeah. And you need to make sure that, the lead magnet that is out there is easily available to people around you or to your target audience. And it's easy for you to promote it. So that there is rapid consumption moving forward. So, I mean, it could be a lot of different aspects. I've seen lead magnets which are like, free offers, cheat sheets, free trials, discounts, coupons, downloads, of course, of different aspects like guides and reports, something on those lines. But, you have to make sure that whatever kind of a lead magnet that you're offering people, you need to make sure that you are able to grab their attention. And that is so important, where you need people who are brilliant copywriters. And this is as to the reason as to however good you are as a marketer, there are specific aspects within your marketing strategy which you won't be able to do on your own. You need specialists to be able to do that. So that's where you need copywriters. You need people who are really good with the written word to being able to attract, attention within a couple of words or within a couple of sentences, and then people will want to read on. So I think that's, that's just, just breaking it down in a very simple manner, of course.
Yes. And definitely once the lead magnet is ready and is out for you, you have to make sure that it's visible to a larger audience. So you need to build your audience, and for that you need to consistently work on it. Like, you cannot do it for 2 days and 2 weeks and then say, okay, I'm tired now, let's give it a break. That's not possible. If you really want to sell your products and services, you really need to be out there. Like Joseph has said, visibility is very important. We have to work on it.
Absolutely. And I think that's where consistency is what changes the game. And a person or an individual or a company which is consistently putting out to its target audience its branding message, its marketing message, its new promotions, is someone who will always remain top of mind. And that's what you want to do in front of your target audience. You want to be top of mind. You want to be relevant. You want them to think of you every single moment that you are breathing. When you are awake, you want them to think of you when they are sleeping as well. Why do you think that companies out there had jingles? Because they want it to be memorable. They want to be able to go back into your subconscious as well. How many times have we actually woken up to certain well-known jingles, or something along the lines of da 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 da, the McDonald's one. Everyone knows it from around the world. You just need to basically just play it once and people will have this immediate recognition of that brand. And that's working on your subconscious element in your mind. And that's where, marketing strategists are, in my opinion, the most important element in a company's journey. Your marketing team, your sales team, and your business development team is the most important elements within your budgetary forecasts, if that makes sense. But unfortunately, especially during these times like COVID, people want to actually reduce their marketing budgets and their sales budgets and their business development budgets, but they don't realize that once things are going to come back to normal, which it absolutely will, it's going to be too hard for them to actually get back on track if they do not keep consistently sending out the message that your audience wants to hear.
Yes. And during this past week, Joseph, 3 different brands have contacted me and they all had the same story. How do I sell when everybody is giving away the same kind of services for free?
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, it's very important for us to understand that there is a limit to a lead magnet. We must understand that the nature of giving away free, let's say, workbook or a guide sheet or, let's say, planning sheet as a lead magnet is limited. You cannot do too many sheets going away for free. You cannot give away your entire service package for free. So it depends on a brand and the decision maker on that brand to understand what components of the services and products are going for free as a magnet and what needs to be monetized properly so that the brand doesn't run out of cash flow and is not facing financial issues. So yes, coming to today, when COVID-19 has changed a lot of things and a lot of things are available for free in the market, how do we understand the modern funnels? How do we understand that what needs to be monetized and what doesn't need to be monetized? This is why I related that whole story of 3 brands became to me.
Yeah, I mean, you made a very important point, and this is something which I think people from all over the world are facing at this moment. It is a very strange situation where each and every element of a business plan has literally been thrown out of the window, and things which people have never even thought of, considered, have happened. But this is where it shows the requirement of resilience and consistency will trump the day moving forward. Now, what do I mean by that? So, especially in this COVID situation, obviously, you can't keep on giving things away for free.
Yeah.
But when a client actually comes to you, and I'm just going to go through what you just mentioned. So when a client actually comes to you, and they tell you that, how can I keep on doing it because my competitor is actually giving it away for free? Believe me, no one does anything for free. There always has to be a catch. There will always be something somewhere which will be a revenue generating offer that they have to at one point take up. So you need to make sure that, number one, especially in this situation, you're not tone deaf. What do I mean by that? You need to ensure that you are not consistently promoting and pushing your services without being empathetic to what your audience requires at this present moment. So, I do a lot of consulting with a lot of brands internationally, as you know, Nousheen. So, and this is one thing which we've had a discussion on in the last couple of months, especially in the last couple of weeks. There have been more intense discussions, obviously, moving forward. But, the thing that has always struck out is like, it is essential at this present moment for brands to literally take a little bit of a step back and not be just completely promotive in their activities. They need to be empathetic, they need to understand, and they really need to believe the fact that each and every one in this world, in some way or the other, is going through the exact same thing. We are all facing this unknown that we never thought could happen. We are all in this together. And this is something which, empathetic brands are going to be able to get that additional form of brand loyalty moving forward. Yeah. So my message to each and every companies which I consult, which have already done, is basically along the lines of reach out to your clients. And basically with just one line saying that, thank you for all your support throughout. Please let us know if there is anything we can do for you. That's it. And just wish them, safety and health and good health for them and their family. That just shows that you are not just a corporation where each and every client is just a number. It shows to them that you are empathetic. You actually understand that, they are a human being and they are facing things which they have never considered in the past. So it's very important, number one, Nousheen, that especially during this time, that brands aren't tone deaf, that brands understand and value their present clients and reach out to them, not to promote something that they're doing, but as a bit of a customer service. Brands that actually focus on customer service and the consumer experience are the brands which will go forward when things get back to normal, which will have these really, really good feelings that people will have about them. It's all about an emotional journey. Whenever one actually makes a purchasing decision, it's an emotional journey. People buy things in today's world, not just because of the price. They buy it because of how it makes them feel.
It's the experience.
It's the experience, whether it be luxury products or whatever. So how are you making your target audience feel? If you have not yet asked that question, then pick up the phone, call your client and ask them how they are. Okay? Listen to them. And that is what most companies and brands aren't doing at this moment. That is, they're not opening up enough channels, enough doors for feedback and communication. And brands which are doing that are the ones which are going to be, doing really well moving forward.
They're busier, trust me.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much for being with me today, Joseph. We have learned a lot from you. And yes, we look forward to having you with us once again on another episode.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me once again and wishing you a fantastic day. Stay safe, stay healthy.
Thank you.